Time doesn't exist, but growth does. Now, I got this quote, this little saying like a week ago. Somebody at my job had said that to me. We were having a nice little conversation, and it really got me thinking. Like it really spoke to me. And I think what resonated with me most is how like we as a society overall, how we use time, how we use time to reference our own achievement, growth, and like who we are as people, and how like that construct, time, if someone made it, isn't really real in the sense that it doesn't determine like us. I'm thinking about it like, right now I'm 19 years old, right? And I feel like we section off our years in the sense that like I remember when I was 18 and that's like a whole year of my life, but I feel like I was one certain way at 18. And I feel like as soon as I turned 19, different person, right? I'm a different person than I was when I was 18. But that's not like a boom boom thing. It's a growth thing. It's a gradual thing. Like I was turning into this person the whole span of time. And that's what I'm saying. Like growth should not be referenced with time. I feel like growth is just growth. Time doesn't, but growth does. To say that like we shouldn't be so caught up in how time impacts, our goals and dreams and aspirations and our development. I feel like when we put time into the mix, it makes people more, susceptible to doubting themselves or having less faith in themselves due to, them being shown maybe by their circumstance or like maybe other people in reference to how they grow given the time. That kind of comparison, barring time, only makes it harder for the individual to grow. Like if I'm trying to do the same thing as my brother and he does it before me, that it took like, oh, nah, they got it before me. Oh, he grew, he developed to this. He's this much more mature than me at this moment. This much more developed. And it's not even about that. First of all, it's not about the comparison with other people. I think that's something we just got fictitiously put in our head. Like, there really is no grounds for comparison. I feel like you're not the same person, not the same experience, no context. Other than things like a specific application, growth or development as a person, there's no comparison. So in saying that, I mean that, if we're only referencing time in regards to that, like, it doesn't make sense. Growth, you grow when you grow. I feel like it happens when it happens, in a way. And I feel like putting time into the mix makes us less certain or less motivated to do what we want. Because we're so used to getting this like instant gratification. And I think that's because of TikTok. And I also think it's because of how people are highlighted in society. Like I was looking at a bunch of music and musicians because I want my friend to really tap into music. And I was referencing the ages of when they started. Because they're big people now, but like when they first dropped, they were 17, 18, 19, maybe even younger. And what I'm saying is like, when you reference time, you might feel like it's too late to do something. It's never too late. Like you have all the time now. It's growth. It's not about time. And I feel like time puts us in such a chokehold because I'm like, okay, I'm about to be 20. I have to do this, that, and the other. I have to be at this point. I have to know this much. I don't have to know that. Or maybe I do, but like, I don't feel as pressed. I feel like as long as I stay here right now in the present moment, I still have all that opportunity to grow. I feel like when we reference the future, we put ourselves on this like pedestal, like I'll be a whole different person at this point, or this much more mature. I'll be thinking like this instead of putting ourselves in that place or bringing that future selves to us. And what I mean by that is like not referencing a future self as someone different, but treating it as if it's yourself. I feel like that whole thing, the whole dichotomy between our current self and our future self makes it a lot more difficult to do things. It also has to do with like stuff like procrastination and not, actually striving to, get things done because we deposit a lot of faith in our future self. And then when that future self becomes the present, we put it in another future self. And I feel like that thought process over and over again is only going to, drag us back down. as we traverse through life, it it gets more difficult the more we try to perceive it. The way I see it, you know, life exists within the unanalyzed. It exists in the things that we aren't necessarily trying to see, the things that we can appreciate without reference to any like monetary value or society value system. Like, for example, I'll tie this back to me. Like, my Christmas was cool. I actually just genuinely enjoyed being around like my family and people that I cared about in general. Like, just appreciating those type of moments because you don't always get them, you know. And I feel like being in the present also makes you appreciate your moments and the time you have with people, because you never know, like, when you'll see them next, or this is that and the other. It's appreciating them now rather than appreciating them in memory. You can do both, but it's about appreciating that now moment. It's also about appreciating yourself in the now. I feel like a lot of us posit so much faith and desire into our future self, into who we want to be, rather than positing that in the now, like feeling like that now. I don't know, like some people might feel like they're going to be this certain way, this much more developed in 6 months, or they're going to achieve this in 6 months. And I feel like, sometimes you can be a little delusional with that type of stuff. Like, you can tell yourself that, you're that now. Imagine how you're going to feel in that situation or when you receive that. And I feel like that becomes motivation in and of itself. You're just knowing like your end goal and getting a little taste of that just by, appreciating yourself in the moment. That's what I feel like it's really about. And I feel like time gets in the way of that. I keep moving it back. There's no past self to overcome either. I said that in the video before, but essentially I feel like our past self, how we reference the past. Oh, I was this way. I need to get over that. I still need to grow from that. That's not a past self. It's you now. Well, start working on it now. It's not, I feel like it's the whole constraint of time. It makes our problems more intense. I need to change from this by this time. No, you don't. You just need to grow when you need to grow. You grow when you grow. You just grow at some point, or you don't. But I feel like it's something that shouldn't be stressed over. It should be something that's appreciated. Oh, I grew here. I appreciate that. Oh, I changed from this way, but I still appreciate who I was back then because it's still part of me now. I feel like a lot of people feel like they leave themselves behind, but in reality, they're just running from their problems to realize that the problem is them. It's all about self-awareness and being conscious of what you're being conscious of. Allowing yourself to exist within a space that allows you the freedom to be you. And what I mean by that is, I feel like life's too short. If we're referencing time, life's too short. We spend so much time trying to build up this character, trying to understand how we interact with society. We forget how to figure out how we interact with ourselves. I feel like the time's too short to not be yourself at this point. I feel like this year for me was a good year for that. I feel like not to say that I know who I am, but to say I'm figuring it out. I'm learning to appreciate the little small parts of myself that like I'm finding out every day, figuring out what type of stuff I like, exploring my music, exploring my fashion sense, exploring my art, poetry, writing, figuring out what makes me tick, figuring out what I like, and it just made me appreciate life to a whole different degree. Like, oh, I get to experience this. Oh, I get to go to the museum and look at this stuff and be like, oh yeah, I like this. Oh, like thinking about the history behind it. I'm just interested. I'm fascinated. Being able to do that, like with your time, with your life. Being able to appreciate yourself like that. Oh, I've been through this. Oh, I got through that. And smiling about it. Always positing that positivity within everything. Because that's how that's how you get more positivity. A man sees in the world with what he carries in his heart. If you carry a lot of positivity, you're going to see some positive things. Positive things are going to come to you. If you carry negativity, always beating up on yourself, maybe not putting enough faith in yourself, that's another thing. Be true to who you are, but also know that you're not a finished product. I don't think we're ever finished. I don't think there's ever a point where I'm going to be like, oh, on this journey, I feel like I'm done. I feel like I finally found the answer, found it. You know? I mean, I can get to a great point, but there's always more stuff to figure out about myself. So, that all to say, that was a little rant because I actually enjoy this topic a lot. Like, I like this. Time doesn't exist, but growth does.